Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I will be going through my top 10 Railway series books. This started out as a top 3 video, but then I realised there were way too many good books to limit it to 3, so I went up to 5, but then there were 9 on my shortlist, so I just decided to add one more and make it a top 10. So, at number 10, I have Stepney the Bluebell Engine, with the stories Bluebells of England, Stepney Special, Train Stops Play and Bowled Out. Bluebells of England is a bit of a nothing story that just introduces the reader to the real-life engine of Stepney and the real-life Bluebell Railway, but the other 3 stories are great. Anyone who knows me in real life would think I have a bias towards Train Stops Play because cricket, but my favourite story in this book is probably Bowled Out. At number 9, I have Duke the Lost Engine, with the stories Grandpuff, Bulldog, You Can't Win and Sleeping Beauty. I found with most of the Railway series books not on this list, there was always one story I either felt wasn't that great or was just a bit boring. This book, on the other hand, did not. I guess my least favourite is Sleeping Beauty, but there's nothing wrong with it. Grandpuff, Bulldog and You Can't Win are all great stories, but my favourite of them has to be Bulldog. I just love that story so much. At number 8, I have the 3 Railway Engines, with the stories Edward's Day Out, Edward and Gordon, The Sad Story of Henry, and Edward, Gordon and Henry. Again, Edward's Day Out is probably the worst, but that doesn't matter when you have the other 3 classic stories. My favourite is probably Edward, Gordon and Henry. Number 7, Gordon the Big Engine, of the stories Off the Rails, Leaves, Down the Mine, and Pink Pots and Queens. Off the Rails and Down the Mine are both amazing, and can anyone not love Pink Pots and Queens? I guess that means Leaves is the worst, but it's still a very good story. My favourite is Off the Rails. Number 6, Edward's the Blue Engine, with the stories Cows, Bertie's Chase, Save from Scrap, and Old Iron. This is an Edward book, so I'm obviously going to have bias towards it, but it's still a very strong book. It introduces Trevor, a fan favourite despite only being in one Wilbur Tawdry book, and it has the great story that is Old Iron. My least favourite story is probably Save from Scrap, and my favourite is definitely Old Iron. Number 5, Henry the Green Engine, with the stories Cold, The Flying Kipper, Gordon's Whistle, Percy in the Trousers, and Henry's Knees. Officially the only 5-story long book, but I tend to count Percy in the Trousers as its own separate story, as it's got basically nothing to do with Henry. And when you do that, it just makes the book even stronger. I've always had a soft spot for Cold. The Flying Kipper is one of the most loved railway stories ever, and Gordon's Whistle and Henry's Knees are both amazing. And Percy in the Trousers, it's still a good story, it's just the worst from this book. My favourite could have been any of the others, but I'm probably going to have to say The Flying Kipper. At number 4, I have Troublesome Engines, with the stories Henry and the Elephant, Tenors and Turntables, Trouble in the Sheds, and Percy Runs Away. This has always been near the top for me for nostalgia, as my mum used to not let me take my Big Thomas book when we went on flights, so I could only take my 3 smaller books, Troublesome Engines, Percy the Small Engine, and More About Thomas the Tank Engine. And Troublesome Engines was my favourite, so I read it the most. But even taking away nostalgia, it's still a great book, and I love all 4 stories. My least favourite is probably Henry and the Elephant, and my favourite is Percy Runs Away. At number 3, I have Mainline Engines, with the stories The Diesel, Buzz Buzz, Wrong Road, and Edward's Exploit. This book introduces Bill and Ben, 2 of the best characters in the franchise, and Boko, the character almost every fan wanted to be brought back into the series. The Diesel and Buzz Buzz are a lot of fun. I have so much nostalgia for Wrong Road, and Edward's Exploit is one of the best stories in the entire Railway series. My least favourite is probably Buzz Buzz, and my favourite is definitely Edward's Exploit. At number 2, I have the 8 Famous Engines, with the stories Percy Takes the Plunge, Gordon Goes Foreign, Doubleheader, and the Fat Controller's Engines. Again, 4 great stories, with Gordon Goes Foreign and the Fat Controller's Engines being childhood favourites. My least favourite is probably going to be Percy Takes the Plunge, and my favourite is Gordon Goes Foreign. And number 1, I think it's everyone's favourite, Enterprising Engines, with the stories Tenders for Henry, Super Rescue, Escape, and Little Western. This is, without a doubt, the best Railway series book, with the first 3 stories all being strong contenders for best story if they were in any Railway series book. Tenders for Henry has Flying Scotsman in, has the whole thing with Duck giving Henry his tenders, and a reference to steam being replaced by diesels. Super Rescue is one of the most universally loved Railway series stories ever, and it's not hard to see why. And Escape is an epic and tense story, and Little Western wraps up the book brilliantly. If I had to pick a best and worst, I'd go for Little Western as the worst, as it's more of a wrap-up than an actual story, and my favourite is probably Super Rescue. Right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram by clicking on the link in the description. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below what your favourite Railway series book is. But that is all for today. I will see you next week.